Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Good evening, my friends. Here is Geraldo Lemos Neto, and I'm here with Marco Gandra from Portal Saber Espiritismo in Belo Horizonte, Brazil. Tonight, we are doing the 82nd program to know Spiritism, continuing to study the life of the great Leon Denis. In 1925, at the International Spiritualist Congress, he was considered the virtuoso of the world and was his last participation because 2 years from that time, he would go to the spiritual world. At this 1925 Spiritualist Congress, 24 nations were represented. 60 newspapers was covering the event. Leon Denis at that time was 80 years old and the president of honor and the delegate who also represented Brazil and Mexico. This is very interesting. He represented also Brazil, Mexico, and of course, France. And the patron of this 1925 International Spiritualist Congress was Jean Meyer, of course, a spiritist writer that we all know. And he was considered, Leon Denis at that time was considered as I told you, the virtuoso of the world. And he wrote, the first humanity had mother as nature, the second as mother as religion, and the third humanity as mother as light. The light is love. Very interesting saying by Leon Denis. We can see some pictures of that time. And on the top, the picture of one meeting at this 1925 Congress. And right below the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Martin, where the Congress took place. Sorry. So about mediumship that was studied at that time, I took some of Leon Denis' words. He said, it is undoubtedly good to open path to penetrate the invisible world. But let us be careful. Those same paths favor the invasion by the worst elements of that same world. So a notice of caution by Leon Denis. And he explained, it is imperative the need for safe mentors. What is needed to obtain such protection, we shall understand. Possess special qualities, sincerity and detachment. Above all, the search for good morals, the desire for instruction, elevation, and improvement. The guide spirits read our thoughts and only agree to go down to our lower planet and to stand the unhealthy fluids that surround the earth, only to serve a noble and generous cause. This is a word of beautiful meaning, and it instructs us to possess all the good qualities to be a man or a woman of honor in the spiritual movement. And those qualities are sincerity, detachment from matter, above all, the search for good morals, ethics inspired by our Lord Jesus Christ and the gospel, the desire for instruction, because instruction leads us to fulfill the understanding that we seek, and towards knowledge and towards wisdom. And also elevation of our minds and souls, and improvement in our hearts. That's the main characteristics that are expected to have one that shall be a good spiritist. And because of that, the guide spirits, our mentors, our beloved mentors, they will for sure come to assist us, but only if we choose this pathway of good morals, ethics, feelings, and thoughts. When Leon Denis started and ended Spiritism meetings, he always said his prayers that made an ardent, sincere, and rapturous appeal rise to God. He defined prayer as a cry from the heart, an ardent plea. This is very, very beautiful. The understanding of Leon Denis' understanding that a truthful prayer is a cry from the heart, an ardent plea to God. And also he said, the highest expression of thought and will. Everyone felt his conviction to God, to the one who have given us life. So the people that saw Leon and heard Leon Denis' prayers by presence, they were always amazed of the sincerity of his heart. And commonly they referred to him as a heart to love and intelligence to clarify. And also this is Leon Denis saying about the objective, the purpose of our prayers, a heart to love and intelligence to clarify. At the end of 1925 Spiritualist Congress, Leon Denis said a prayer that is registered, and he said, in closing, I call upon you the radiations of divine strength so that they penetrate you, come to fertilize your souls and make persistent in you the devotion, the courage, the selflessness that will help you to face the difficulties of life, of materialism, so that you can spread the conviction that is in your hearts throughout the whole world. And this prayer is nowadays repercuting in our hearts and souls. It's a very truthful calling to all of us in the Spiritist movement, for us to receive the radiations of the divine strength coming from God through Jesus Christ. And this divine strength will penetrate us, will fertilize our souls and minds, and make us persistent to that devotion, to that courage, to not fail on God, to not fail in our own conscience, and to be selflessness, to help us face all difficulties of life. And this is very appealing to all of us nowadays, especially around a world of materialism that shall pass and shall be replaced for a world of spiritualism. And because of that, we are, of course, we're gonna be prepared to spread our conviction, to spread the word of Spiritism, that is also the word of the gospel, Jesus' gospel. And this conviction will touch other hearts with our hearts throughout the world. And Denis is very special in this calling and remains in our minds, in our remembrance, in our souls as one of the greatest spiritists that were incarnated on earth. In the review, Spirit, the Spiritist Review, in page 179, in the calling of Leon in intimacy, he wrote, "If I had to summarize the teachings of the guide spirits in concise lines, I would say the supreme law of the universe is the good and the beautiful, and the evolution of beings through time and across worlds has no other end than the slow and gradual achievement of these true forms of perfection that were good to be good and beautiful. However, my prayer acquires greater reach and fervor at the edge of the sea when it is nurtured by the rhythm of the waves on the high peaks in front of the panorama of the plains and mountains, under the imposing vault of the forests and the constellated dome of the nights. Nature's temple is truly the only one worthy of the eternal God." Beautiful, beautiful thoughts by Leon Denis, whom we are thanking from our hearts, and continue to study his life and his work. I thank you so much for being with us and invite you to come back next week. This was the program To Know Spiritism number 82. Have you all a very good night. Bye-bye.